Welcome to the show, all of you that are checking in from all over. So I want to welcome you. This is a big, big celebration today. We're getting to the end of Mezcal week, and we're getting to celebrate Mexican independence today, September 16th, 210 years of independence. And yesterday, we celebrated 199 years of Nicaraguan independence. And you know what Nicaragua means to us and to our cigars and to all of you. So it's a big, big day to celebrate. So cheers to all of you guys out there ready to learn about mezcal, ready to learn about our San Andres cigars, and I'm super honored to have this incredible menu tonight. So let's throw up that menu because this is a virtual happy hour. So you guys, we are having our cocktail of the evening. It's called the CATARINA'S SLING by my good friend Carlos E. Cuarta, and who's joining us tonight. And our sips, we're gonna be sipping Don Amado mezcals, beautiful mezcals from Oaxaca. We are also joined today by our guest Jake Lustig and Lala Noguera, which will be tuning in with us a little bit. And our sticks for today, we've got the biggest selection of our San Andres wrapper cigars. We've got our Undercrown Maduro, we've got our Dogma, our Shady, and our Norteño. These are the highlights of our San Andres wrapper cigars. So we're gonna have a really, really big show. Plus, Ask Frankie Drinks, and you win this travel humidor. So make sure you hashtag Ask Frankie Drinks. You got a question for me. You got a question for Joey, for Carlos, and for Jake. Get them in. Best 5 questions. We'll hit you at the end of the show. So don't forget, keep those questions coming. And with that, it's a happy hour, so we got to celebrate Mexican independence. So let's throw up the ingredients. This is a great cocktail called CATARINA'S SLING. These are your ingredients, and I'll go through them with you. It's a beautiful, beautiful cocktail tonight. So you got Don Amado mezcal, some coffee liqueur, little fresh lemon juice, some cane sugar syrup. We're using bitter cube cherry bark vanilla bitters, and then our Fever Tree Indian tonic, a little grapefruit peel. And directions, you want to shake everything but the tonic water together. Let's get those directions up there. Shake everything together, pour it over a nice highball glass with some great ice, and then top it with that Indian tonic. Let's throw that video up there, see how I do it. Just like my man Carlos taught me, you want to get that mezcal in a shaker. I'm using Flor de Caña espresso liqueur, a little 3/4 ounce, little 1/2 ounce of lemon juice in there, get a little citrus, little cane syrup, sugar. Like any drink that you get with some citrus, you want to shake it first. So we shake it. You don't want to shake it with the tonic in there because that shaker will blow up on you. So you go ahead, you do that, pour it in a glass, and then you want to top it with that beautiful Fever Tree Indian tonic water. And this is a fantastic, fantastic cocktail. Little grapefruit peel. And there you go. That's your CATARINA'S SLING. Enjoy. So here's my big reveal from my man Carlos out there. This is my luchador mask. You're celebrating Mexican Independence Day. And there you go. And there's my cocktail. So to all of you out there, salud. Salud. Que viva Mexico. So let's do a little check into the Zoom lounge. Let's see who's out here with us today. I got my man Joey Drew back for
We've been waiting for this
weeks.
one. We've been waiting for this one for 23 weeks.
23 weeks in the making.
The most requested topic. The most requested topic by me.
Yeah, of course, by you. You know, and we finally got it going, and I couldn't be happier today. What a great day to talk about mezcal on Mexican Independence Day.
Yeah, mezcal and cigars, nothing better.
Absolutely. Next up, I got my man Carlos Cuarta, all the way from Chicago, checking in. What's going on, Carlos? Unmute yourself. All right. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Mezcal is a thing to do. Amazing with cigar. I am so proud to push cigars since last year with mezcal, which I think that is a super dope pairing.
Well, listen,
Amazing.
you and Joey are all about the cigars and the mezcal, and it really is a fantastic journey to go on. And so welcome back, my brother. It's always good having you, and thank you for this beautiful cocktail. It really is a fantastic way to use the Don
Uh,
Amado Añejo Mezcal.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about the cocktail and what I
Please.
always realize when we use coffee and coffee in any way with mezcal, it really push the mezcal flavor up. The coffee is there, but the mezcal is going to be a little bit up front, but it's going to be big also at the back, okay? And then I want to complement a little bit of the cherry vanilla taste because specifically when we talk about Don Amado Añejo, it's aged in a ex brandy, a Mexican brandy from Pedro Domecq house. Okay, then that this is the whole presentation, but I use the bitter cube, the cherry bar vanilla. It really helped the cocktail, and everything else is just rounded. You know, with the tonic water, just because I want to create something refreshing. No, no kind of spirit forward or sour only. This is a cocktail that you can drink it 1, 2, 3 times, and it's going to be great, great cocktail.
Well, I think it would, you know, you sent me the recipe. I made it. I think it's a fantastic. You know, I like long drinks when it comes to cigars. And this is a great, incredibly flavorful highball to enjoy cigars with. So there you go. So salute to you, my brother. And last but not least, in
Salute
the
to my other brother.
oh, there you go. There you go. And last but not least, I've got my special guest, Jake Lustig. Jake, welcome to Sticks and Sips, my man.
Thank you. Thanks, brother, for having me. A lot of fun.
It's an honor to have you on the show, especially featuring Don Amado.
Thank you.
You know, we run in the same circles of people that we know, and you know, we've known about your work for, at least I have, for a long, long time, and it truly is special to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So,
really
Jake, I'm gonna have you run through the whole thing, man. So bear with me, right? So
Sure. All right.
So tell us what you do first of all.
I work for the U.S. importer of Don Amado, which is Haas Brothers in San Francisco. So I'm responsible for distributing. I work for that company as the sales manager. So I work with distributors across the United States. And then also I'm a partial owner of the distillery in Mexico for 26 years. I renovated it in the early 90s. And so I exported also to a lot of other countries around the world. And then there was a time when mezcal wasn't so popular as it is these days. So in the 90s, I also got very into the tequila business. And I own a brand of tequilas that I sell around the world. And also I work on developing across the US. And then a bunch of other liquors. Rum from Panama that Carlos likes quite a lot, called Panama Pacific Rum. So I have a little like stable of brands that I produce. Some of them I make myself. Some of them I work with good partners to produce. And then I import them and sell them around the world.
Yeah.
I do
Fernet,
like
Fernet
Fernet. So I do like trainings around the world. But a lot of my work is, as anyone could imagine, is just, you know, numbers and reports and all the boring stuff, you know. So an opportunity like this is fun and few and far between.
It's not just all booze all day, right? It's
People get an idea like, oh my God, you must just never stop partying or something. You know, we actually just a lot of, like you say, it's a lot of work to make sure everything is, you know.
I don't know. I smoke cigars. I smoke cigars and drink mezcal all day. I don't know what everybody else is doing.
Well, Somebody's out there worrying about, is there enough labels and pops and corks and barrels? You know, years ago, I had some guys visit us. One of them knew a lot about French cognac making. He said, boy, this is the most complicated production I've seen in the world of any spirit. And I felt like that. You know, the cultivation of the agave itself is 8-9 years. Some of our agave, I see you've got like Arroqueño on your thing. That takes 18 years for us to grow. That's not a wild agave. That's a cultivated agave. 18 years to grow, and then we're chopping down that whole plant, you know, to produce mezcal. It's not like the brandy makers. They go out and they pick new grapes every year. On agave, you kill the plant, you process the plant, then you wait.
Yeah, all the time is in the ground. You know, it's the opposite of brown spirits. Brown spirits all the time is in the barrels. And with mezcal, it's all in the ground.
You know, when the Spanish brought distillation to Mexico, they looked at something like this, you know, clear. They said, I'm not drinking that. This didn't exist in Mexico. They brought distillation, but they didn't want to drink fresh distilled. What they had were casks left over from the sherries and the brandies and the wine. So they felt much more comfortable drinking when it has this color. So when I started renovating this distillery in 95, 94, 95, 96, I started in 94. We didn't finish till 96. We wanted to keep everything really historical because, like Joey mentioned earlier in a little pre-call, he's more of a purist. Like he considers wood to be like interference, not a contribution. Well, historically, aged mezcal was part of the landscape, a big part of it. Even until I was a kid in the 70s, you showed up at a good party, you called mezcal brefinado. Brefinado meant like refined. It's not a word that sounds very good for the modern, you know, robust palate, but you wanted something settled. But what they used historically were all brandy casks. None of this whiskey casks, none of these sharper flavors, no charring, no like for bourbon casks where you char the inside so you have some carbon filtration. So this Don Amado is a very historically accurate product. Brandy barrel aged. I will concede there's no real historical legacy for añejo in mezcal. It just went as long as reposado. So people have asked me, well, why do you do an añejo if you're all about the historical record? And I have to be honest, just because it's so goddamn good. You know, it's so delicious that my business partner and I started aging some of the mezcal a little longer past reposado into añejo. And it's just such a delicious, you get that, you know, settling of the product, but because there's no char in these barrels, you still get a lot of that intensity of the agave.
Absolutely.
What do you think of it, Joey? I mean, I know
I had it. Yeah, Carlos sent me a bottle about a month or so ago. It was really enjoyable. It was, you know, being the more of the purist in my own words. It was definitely different to wrap my head around. You know, having drank plenty of añejo tequilas.
Right.
This was very different than an añejo tequila.
Right.
But still very delicious. It's delicious, but you have to approach it. I have to approach it in a different way, a different mindset for a different reason, pairing it with the right cigar and the right time and place for it. But yeah, no, absolutely delicious product.
Right.
So I'm going to step back a little bit here, Jake. So I'm going to ask you how you got started in this business, man. You know, because that's always a big story. How'd you get started in spirits?
I've learned that I'm an anomaly. I never knew that I knew that as a person, I might be my personality might be an anomaly. But I didn't come to this from food and beverages, they call it. My mother, I was born here in San Francisco, California, and my mom remarried when I was a kid, and her new husband went to go make their life in Oaxaca. And in my late teens, I drove a pickup truck down, taking people out to pottery villages and wood carving villages. I still have one of my best friends in life is a guy who had a taxi medallion, so we could pick up people without getting arrested. And we would take people to pottery villages, the arts, the artisan scene in Oaxaca. And it was in the late 80s that some of the tourists said, hey, can you take us to a tequila distillery? Because they had started drinking Patron tequila in those days. And we would say, well, we're 400 miles from where they make tequila, which is in Jalisco, but we're here in Oaxaca, where Mexico kind of gets tight before it opens back up, and that kind of southern band is Oaxaca. And we're up at about 4,800 feet, just shy of about 5,000 feet. And so we started taking tourists out, and then pretty soon I split off. My partner kept doing the artisan village tours, and I just started doing mezcal tours. And I ended up, with him too, we found a total in those days of 86 small little distilleries out scattered across the landscape. And I eventually propositioned my very favorite, said, you guys want to go 50-50? I'll try to get some capital to renovate this little distillery. Right there, Frank, on your pedestal, you've got a picture of that partner of mine, Bonifacio Arrianes Robles. Germán Bonifacio Arrianes Robles. So I first met him when I was 16 years old. I'm 48, so that was a while ago. And we went to work rebuilding the distillery. And it was about 3 years after we were rebuilding the distillery, one of our workers said that he had a cousin who worked for Pedro Domecq up in Mexico City. And we said, holy cow, get us some of those used barrels. And so we started buying used barrels. And that's how we did it, one piece at a time. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of ups and downs. I was going broke by the late 1990s. People really didn't know how to deal with the flavor of mezcal. And so I launched a brand. I had the just really dumb good luck that one of the people that really embraced our mezcal, because I hate to do this. Can I share a screen real quick?
Sure.
As the host, can you enable me to do that?
I don't know. Let's check with our producer. I don't think we can on this Zoom.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you'll have to pick up that booklet then.
Yes.
If you could just put that clay pot on the picture on the front to the camera. Yeah, that one. Yeah, just that. Do you guys see that there's a clay pot there with a piece of bamboo sticking out of it? These were one of the last families to still be distilling clay pots. And of the 86 little family distillery operations I got to know, I just became really enamored with that way of making mezcal. That, of course, comes from a clandestine era in the 18th century when copper alembic stills weren't allowed because of the near impossibility of the government to collect taxes from rural producers. So there was no access, and it was illegal to make booze. So these guys cobbled together stills coming out of an old Filipino, still to this day in Southeast Asia, they use those clay pot stills to distill soju. And so in that era of Ferdinand Magellan and the Spanish fishing fleets working the Pacific Rim, which we got to remember, where the whole Pacific Rim was run out of Mexico City by the Spanish viceroy for 300 years. So all those fishermen would go through the Philippines, Southeast Asia, and bring those primitive stills to southern Mexico, where locals reproduced them. So
Right.
when I stumbled across that, the kind of whimsical archaeologist in me became really enamored with that way of making booze, and a kind of a saline, a brininess, because those clay pots are made from our soils. And when you talk about these terms of terroir, like linking production with what's in your glass, or linking origin of your agave, or your maguey, as we call it in Oaxaca, with what you're tasting, I thought, wow, there's no better way to distill than in clay pots made from the land that these agave are growing in. And that's Don Amado. The name came from not that gentleman, but another older guy named Amado Cisneros, who put up with me for about 2.5 years, pestering him with questions, how do you make mezcal? And he was actually going to be our maker, but he didn't last. He was already old. And his sons didn't have quite the same idea. I went out there one day and they had a clay pot on top, but below was a Pemex oil drum that they were distilling the mosto, the must, the beer in. So I transported the name to an operation that I could actually own half of with my business partner. So.
Well, I'm gonna halt you right there for 1 second. That way, everyone gets to kind of see the clay pot and little bamboo coming out of it, and to understand how this distillation goes. As a mezcal fan, and as Joey's a mezcal fan, and and Carlos obviously, when we talk about mezcal, there's so much that a lot of people don't know about it. The good part is that we are actually having, I wouldn't even call it renaissance, because renaissance means that we had to have a big boom at one time, right? We're kind of living through the moment where a lot of people are enjoying mezcal, starting to discover mezcal. And in that, I want to say, hey, let's talk about these three that I have in front of me. So, because I think they're each a little bit different, and I kind of want you to go through them.
Absolutely. Well, you'll have to help me with that book.
You got it. Absolutely.
Pick that, if you pick that book up, and you'll find about middle of it, there's some pictures of the big plants. One of the fun, people ask me a lot of times, yeah, there you go. So people ask me, well, fundamentally, without me having to take a class in it, what's the big difference? And we used to say the most obvious thing. In tequila, you're cooking, just like if you bit into a garlic clove or an onion, it's super astringent, provoke tears. But if you saute your onion, or you're an Italian delicatessen and you roast your garlic, it caramelizes and softens, and you get all these sweetnesses and sugars that you didn't have 10 minutes before. We grow these agave for anywhere from 8 to 18 years. They actually only have starch, and they would blister your mouth if you were going to try to bite into one. So you've got to cook them. So I hate to do this, Frank, but if I don't have the share, you got to share. Go to the back of that book. Go to the back page of the whole thing. There's a picture of a round roasting pit.
So I'm going to take over the...
You got it. You got it. So I'm going to explain to people. What we're doing is we build this giant bonfire, and then we put on top of that bonfire all of those halved and quartered maguey hearts. And then we seal that whole pit, and we got to cook it we cook all of those hearts under a sealed pit for 4 or 5 days. That imparts all of this smokiness. Our counterparts in the world of tequila cook the agave with steam, which is just water. It's inert. It doesn't really add or detract much flavor. So we get this bolt of smoke in our basic, spirit profile. And then from there, we depart further from what you might consider the kind of template of tequila, because we can use all these different species of maguey. So, and by the way, agave, maguey, interchangeable terms. So we get, a lot of wine people get interested in mezcal because we get into this whole varietalization, right? You got about 15, 20 different types of maguey whose starches will properly convert into what yeast can recognize as dinner and ferment into a low-grade alcohol. So we'll put that cooked agave that's been cooked underground, we'll macerate it so we just have a bunch of fiber. And we'll put all that fiber with water in a fermentation tank and ferment it. And again, in a difference from tequila, we ferment using just yeast and air, ambient yeast that find our ferment. And they start to inoculate that fermentation, and slowly all of these yeast are converting the sugar into alcohol. And then when we get up to about 9 to 11% alcohol, we don't want to keep letting that ferment because now those yeast will start to die in their own alcohol.
Is it what is called a wild yeast?
Yeah.
Wild yeast, right?
Wild yeast, yeah. Ambient yeast that are just in the air.
Yeah.
And people say, what? I don't quite get that. Well, just remember if you ever went on vacation and left some yogurt in your fridge and you came back and it's really, fermented, it's tingly, so you throw it away. Or you have some applesauce in your fridge, just the ambient yeast that are in your fridge are enough to find those sweetness, that sugar, and start doing its work. So you can imagine in a distillery, our distillery, we renovated, but it's a 150-year-old place. So it's got airborne yeast in that area. There's also 13 distillers in our small town. It's kind of a prestigious zip code in the world of, it's like if you had Bordeaux as a zip code in your winemaking. We're in the town of Santa Catarina, Minas, St. Catherine's Mines. And we're recognized as putting out some pretty good mezcal.
Well, absolutely. So listen, while you were telling us that phenomenal story, I was enjoying the Arroqueño. And for those of you guys that want to see what an Arroqueño looks like, this is a beautiful picture.
Yeah,
of it. And
that guy in the red shirt there, Germain. If you could put that back up real quick.
So I'm gonna talk so everybody sees it.
That cat Germain is 5'10". That maguey heart is Arroqueño is a 640-pound maguey.
All right,
took 18 years to grow.
So I'm gonna, and then right next to it we've got a largo. So
that's right.
And
they look like Dr. Seuss plants. I mean, they're really goofy, wild. We don't even call those. Usually, we use the word piña, which means like pineapple, because it's bulbous and it looks like a pineapple. But for those, we just call them trunks, troncos, because they look like a tree trunk.
Absolutely.
Doesn't even look like a piña.
Hello, guys from Mexico City. I'm ready.
All right.
How are you?
Hi, Jacob, Frank, Carlos.
How's everything in Mexico City?
It's very well. It's an Independence Day, guys.
Well,
Viva Mexico.
It was the day the independence started.
Are you ready?
Independence Day.
I'm ready to say cheers from Mexico.
Cheers.
They didn't win independence for another 10 years. You know that?
Well, much like the U.S., right? We call 1776. The war lasted for a good 5 years. before we won our independence. But
you know, I'm ashamed, Frank. I didn't know that. When did the American Revolutionary War end? Was it 1776 or 17?
No, that's when it went. That was when independence was declared. And much like everywhere, we go by the date we declare independence. Because if you lose, it doesn't really matter. If you win, then it does. So in this case, I'm going to say salud to everybody out there with a little copita.
Salud.
Vamos a decir salud y hablemos en español.
Salud, amor y tiempo. Oh, no, salud, dinero y amor y tiempo para gozarlos, ¿verdad?
Yes.
No, salud, dinero y mucho sexo.
All right.
¿Y qué pasó con justicia?
No,
listen,
la justicia
I'm going to translate for everybody listening.
La justicia es ciega.
I'm ready with my mezcal wine. Mezcal wine is not a mezcal, it's mezcal wine from Zapotitlán de Vadillo, Jalisco, from the taberneros, called taberneros, no maestros mezcaleros, it's taberneros, because produced in the taberna. And the taberneros cook the mezcales to produce wine.
Can we see the color of it? Will you turn it sideways?
Yeah, it's Ixtero amarillo y cimarrón.
¿Y qué color trae? Como oscurito?
It's crystal.
Then how did they filter that wine, huh?
Es cristalino, es muy cristalino, mira.
All right, so hang on a second, guys, before we lose control, because we're having a massive party right now. I want to introduce my friend from Mexico City, as she says. You know, she's a master educator. There you go. Meat, beef, pork, fire, love. That sounds like a recipe for tacos. And there you go. Mira.
Yeah.
Your shirt looks like one of those shirts, like find the words in the
She's my
you know, circle the word or something.
Well, so Lala, welcome to Sticks and Sips. Salud.
Thank you very much, guys. Salud. Salud for everybody.
Thank you for being here.
And stay safe in home or in your office or in your bar or in my house, for example. And I am living in Mexico City, and I'm very glad to stay with everybody in Mexico and in US.
And in Mexico City right now, you've been having rains, right? So it's very clear outside and very nice, very beautiful.
Yes. Everybody knows Mexico City?
I love Mexico City in the late summer. It's the best.
Yeah. It's like it's like being in a beehive. It's so like the energy. It's like if you were inside of a beehive and you're a little bee buzzing around, and all these other millions of bees are all swirling around you. That's what Mexico City. It's beautiful.
I live very near to the downtown of the antique pyramids in the middle of the Zócalo.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm very near. It's 20 minutes.
Is that Tenochtitlan?
It's Tenochtitlan. Yes, it's Tenochtitlan. It's behind to the cathedral.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And
that's a fun place to live, huh?
Yeah, it's a very fun place. It's a great place, and it's the most big city in the world for the number of the populations to live in a field area. You know, the 25 millions in Mexico City. 25 millions.
Well, we're going to definitely
masks?
Go visit you.
Is everybody wearing masks? Are you guys keeping COVID down there, or is it getting popular? I mean, flaring up? No. In Mexico City, it's okay.
Yeah, in Mexico City, it's okay. In this moment, it's okay. And the lockdown stayed now.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
more
Jake,
for the restaurants and the hospitalities and hotels, you know, because Mexico City live with the hospitality, with the tourists, you know.
So important,
Yeah, it's very important. Jacob, you are from Mexico City, or where are you from?
Yo soy de aquí, de San Francisco. But I was just explaining, my mom and her husband she remarried. They moved to Oaxaca. And I was young.
Okay.
So I was
Enjoy.
taking tourists out to pottery villages, artisan villages, and then people wanted to learn about mezcal.
Okay.
In the late the mid 19, actually early 1990s. Time flies.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
And
make mezcal. Este mezcal estamos tomando está hecho en olla de barro.
es ancestral.
Muy ancestral.
Ancestral mezcal.
Ancestral.
Ancestral, because don't use any machines or animals for the produce.
No, sabes que ancestral. So that was a good question. Do we use machines?
Yeah.
When I was young, I saw a lot of people that were making mezcal, what we call mazo y canoa. It's a mallet in a canoe, pounding the maguey. And I realized that's an actually terrible way of making mezcal.
Yeah.
One is you get rheumatoid arthritis all over your body.
Yeah.
And those workers, after 10 or 15 years, can become debilitated.
Yeah, they're crippled.
They're crippled. And then the other thing is, every time you get to a tough chunk of a maguey, you say, Primo, bring me over a bucket of hot water to pour on it, because the hot water will soften it, but you're diluting the amount of sugar. So it takes your fermentation much longer. So some of those masa y canoa producers are only able to get a liter, if you can believe this, out of 25 to 30 kilos of maguey. We're talking like 70 pounds of maguey to produce 1 liter. That keeps people in poverty. So I started saying, in the United States, we use a lot of tree shredders, like chippers, for the power companies, the utility companies, when they're clearing the lines. They're very normal in the United States. Tree shredders. So on a napkin in a bar, we designed one of those. I had to go to a bunch of logging sites to buy used still 22-inch chainsaw bars for chainsaws, because that steel was strong enough that it wouldn't break to throw into a logger's face, the chainsaw chain. And we got all of these chainsaw bars made into knives, welded those onto spindles, and made the first shredder. I was accused of industrializing mezcal process. And now, last year, the Mezcal Regulatory Council delivered those shredders to 72 different villages. And we still have the first one that I made in 1995. And then we have every 3 or 4 years, we have the whole line. So we made a big contribution, because with that shredder, we can produce a liter of mezcal out of about 13 kilos of maguey, about half. Yeah. And when you shred it, you don't need all this water to soften it. So you have much more sugar. So you have a much better flavor. Comes quicker, makes more money for the village.
Yeah. But the maguey needs more sound and higher.
Well, we're lucky that el Consejo Regulador de Mezcal still calls our mezcal ancestral, even though we shred it with a shredder. No se quejaron. So
that's so for everyone out there, just to kind of know. This is a really big topic that both Jake and Lala are jumping into, of the difference between ancestral and artisanal. And we could probably have an entire show on that. But what I want to do right now is I'm going to pivot a little bit for everybody out there, because we're going to come back to mezcal. Trust me, we're nowhere near done. But Lala has a wonderful cigar with her. And today
Yes.
we're celebrating one of the most beautiful products that come out of Mexico for Drew Estate. And that's our San Andres wrapper
Yes.
coming from Mexico. Lala, I know you're familiar. Lala not only is an agave expert, she also is a cigar, connoisseur. So she knows. So Lala, tell us a little bit about that Mexican wrapper, and then we'll have Joey talk about our lovely cigars.
Okay, and this is a cigar from San Andres de los Tuxtlas, from the San Andres los Tuxtlas, Veracruz. And San Andres is in the south of Mexico City, of United States, Estados Unidos mexicanos. Because the real name Mexico is not Mexico. It's not Mexico. It's Estados Unidos mexicanos, not Mexico. Mexico is the center, and the real name is Estados Unidos mexicanos. Okay, and in the República Mexicana is the territory. Okay, and Veracruz is in the south of the República Mexicana. Okay, and San Andres is a great place because I don't know, the Mayas cultivate the tobacco in San Andres. It's very ancestral, the tobacco in Mexico.
Really?
It's in the times of los Mayas. Es en tiempos de los Mayas.
Wow.
Los Mayas mandaban sembrar a San Andrés su tabaco.
¿A poco? And San Andrés está en la montaña. Is it in the mountains?
Sí, yes. It's in the mountains.
Veracruz is a vecino of Oaxaca.
Yes, of course.
The two states are together.
Right.
So you're having mezcal with a Veracruz cigar. You're really supporting.
Yeah. And this cigar is the tripa. All the wrapper is from of San Andres. Okay, and this is a cigar, a special cigar, because the last fermentation is in a barrels of tequila.
Really?
Very nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's very nice. It's very, very nice. And it's interesting.
That means that you're having a San Andres puro?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Wow, that must be really delicious.
Yes.
And a lot of complexity, especially going to
exactly.
to make spices.
Yeah. And everybody to the capas of the most anillas or ¿cómo se dice? De las
finest cigars.
Is from San Andres. For example, Coiba de las Capas is from San Andres. Human is from San Andres. Some Habanos.
Right. Well, I'm going to say this for everybody out there that's wanting to know. Not only is it San Andres, incredibly volcanic soil, much like Nicaragua. Volcanic soil is what gives that beauty to the leaf. It actually has a very elastic leaf that is very rich, that can withstand a lot of fermentation, which will give you the beautiful colors.
Yeah.
So that deep, dark, rich color, and I'll show you the difference. This is San Andres on the bottom. So you could kind of see, even we get the lighter color as well, or we can get all the way to this higher fermentation where it's super dark and delicious.
Oscuro.
Hey, Frank, will you explain, or Lala, will you guys explain about the fermentation? Will you explain about that?
This cigar calls Negro from San Andres.
Yeah, that's what we use predominantly with Undercrown Maduro.
Yeah.
And to speak to Jake's question about the fermentation. So the leaves, once we get them to Nicaragua, they sit in pilones. So pilones are giant hands all stacked together of the tobacco leaf, and it's the volume of tobacco in those pilones creates a pressure, which creates a heat. It's all natural. Nothing else is applied to it. And through the time period in there, and it could take upwards of a year or more many times to ferment the leaf to where then we can use it to make a cigar. So you go to you test it by, like, you take leaves out and over time you see the burn rate. You can burn the leaves and you can see how it's burning, and that lets you know that it's ready or not. You also know if you've ever been to Cigar Safari in our factory, you go into the pilones, you smell in the room ammonia. That's the predominant, that's what's leaching out. That's what you're getting rid of in fermentation. You're removing all of that as much as humanly possible, because that's an off-putting flavor. If you've ever had a cigar that was a little off or didn't taste so well, or the ash has got a little bit of yellow in it, that will tip you off that it hasn't really been fermented completely.
No kidding.
There's still some of that impurities of the nitrogen and everything else. And so that's what that process in making a cigar is about.
Are they using in cigars? I'm so sorry for these ignorant questions, but are they using like lower first 1, 2, or 3 leaf, like, you know, the first, the second, the third?
Well, you do different primings of the plant. Give you different leaves for different purposes. Some are reserved for the wrapper, so those would be usually the higher primings. Usually want higher primings.
Depends of the piso foliar. Depends of the del piso foliar.
Yeah, and then leaves lower on the
piso
plant
foliar.
are used inside.
Sí, claro. And
because like los viejitos in Oaxaca, because they used to antes cultivaban tabaco in Oaxaca. So the viejitos will know, like, oh, these are the first leaves that we pick, and these are the second, and these are the third.
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Same.
Let me tell you about this cigar. It's in a black ring 50, you know, and this is the first line of the cigars from our brand, cigar roller. It's from Luis Mata, my friend Luis Mata. And we started making more than 9 years ago this 100% Mexican tobacco. Okay.
Mexican puro.
Yes, it's 100% tobacco from Mexico. Negro from San Andres, called this cigar. Okay, and in the first, in el primer tercio, the starter may be a bit dry, and inner with some spicy notes, with woody. And tones like it's a sweet tones, you know. It's a medium fortaleza. It's una fortaleza media. It's fortaleza media.
Right. We're talking about like the first third of the cigar.
Yes. First third. Yes, primer tercio.
It has some nice spice notes.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelming, but it will evolve as a cigar goes through, right? So your second thirds and your last.
Yes, and the second third is the moment to the evolution. The good shoots that characteristics the cigar, and the gray hash. With left, you feel the flavor of spices such as thyme, balsamic aromas, and tar.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, all cigars it's a journey when you smoke a cigar, and that's what makes a master blender of cigars so important, is that in creating a blend.
Fire.
There you go.
Fire.
Fire.
Your cigar. Your cigar. Come on.
So it's creating that journey.
I want to. Quiero prenderlo, pero están niños aquí.
Okay. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
Okay. That's different story.
Let me say, and the third is the last moment of your cigar. You will find more definite flavors such as mint, minty balsamic, tar, and concentrate minerals. El placer puro del cigarro mexicano.
Well, that's fantastic. Joey, I'm going to have you walk us through the actual, you know, which is our calling card, right? Which is Undercrown.
Yeah, Undercrown. Yeah, which next year is the big 10-year anniversary for Undercrown Maduro. So we got something special cooking for that. I'm really excited about that. But
the entire blend on this,
oh, yeah.
Just walk us through that, because this is truly unique.
Well, I mean, the story that has been told and it's an amazing story that our cigar rollers, as everybody knows, we're smoking too many Liga Privadas. That was our highest achieved cigar for us. And we had to tell them to stop smoking them because we needed more to sell. So they made a cigar on their own using very similar tobaccos from Liga Privadas, the blend. But they wrapped it in a beautiful higher priming Mexican Maduro from San Andres. And it was one of those cigars that once we were all smoking it, we were like, oh, now we have to make this one too.
Yeah.
That was like our real foray into making a true premium, traditional, handmade cigar with a really beautiful San Andres wrapper. And it's got the flavor of that wrapper is magical. And we do two different expressions using the same wrapper in two very different products. So you've got Undercrown Maduro, but then you have our Herrera Esteli Norteño, which is, our master blender's main line of cigars. And they're very different using the same wrapper. And that's really what's beautiful about tobacco.
Using the same wrapper, Joey?
Yes, same wrapper.
Wow.
Just they're treated differently. They're in pilons differently for some are longer period of time than others, and different selections. Some people, some are higher priming, some are a little less.
I'm going to show it right now, and hopefully people see that there's like a slight nuance,
Yeah.
in the Norteños.
Yeah, the Norteños aren't as dark generally.
Uh-huh.
They're more of a dark medium brown, where the undercrown leans to oscuro. But they still impart this wonderful flavor that you talk about, like the woody, earthy notes that are really at the forefront of the wrapper's flavor.
Is it a special characteristic? No.
Yeah. No, it's great, and that's really what makes in pairing them with mezcal so great, because now you're adding this other dimension that mezcal doesn't always have. Mezcal doesn't always have that dark, rich earthiness.
Yeah.
So when you pair a mezcal with a Mexican San Andres cigar, now you're introducing this other layer of flavor.
Okay.
And that's really, I think, where
in the first third, Joey, in the first third.
First third, you always get a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then over time it rounds out. It gets a little bit more warmer. It doesn't just keep banging you. It settles down.
I want to pause. I want to pause for I'm going to ask Jack to throw up this slide with our sticks so everybody knows what we're talking about. We're talking about our undercrown, and we have our dogma as well under that undercrown line, and we have our shady 20 under that undercrown line, which box pressed Bellicoso, and then our Norteño as well. The one we left out was our Pappy Van Winkle, which has that base because we do a doble capa, but we'll leave that one out for right now, just so everybody, because it is. But
your cigar is a blender, no, Frank? From Nicaragua and San Andres, no?
Yes, our product. Yeah, so most of the blends, most of the blend inside is Nicaraguan, sometimes Nicaraguan, Honduran, or Nicaraguan, and a little bit of Dominican.
Brazilian.
Right, and then we get to, so I mean, one of the things, the beauties of Drew Estate for everybody out there is we bring so many countries together into our factory, tobacco from all parts of the world into our factory in Esteli, Nicaragua, to make these beautiful products. And it always is a true moment where we can bring everything together. And I think Joey can speak to that best. I'm going to mention one thing here because Lala mentioned it. The Mayans were growing tobacco, but the historical record says that tobacco was born in the Andes, and from the Andes that knowledge went out to all of the Americas, and it's truly phenomenal that we can is that a Joya de Monterrey?
No, it's a Gran Reserva a Fuente. You know, what is that? I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna get to some questions. So I've got Brian J. Cavigliano. Congratulations, you win a humidor, a travel humidor, Pappy Van Winkle.
Yes.
So the question is, what is a good entry level, widely available mezcal brand for newbies? And I'll just give that out to you guys. What do you think? Where do you think people should start their mezcal journey? Especially with stuff that's, I guess, widely available in the U.S.
Oh yeah, I mean the big ones that you'll find that everybody knows, you see them, is would be Del Maguey Vida is a big one that's on every store. We'll have at least that bottle. Monte Lobos, another one.
From Del Maguey?
Hmm?
From Del Maguey.
Yeah,
Vida.
yeah, Vida.
Real.
Yeah. And then, really, because you're going to start with the ones that are more widely available are ones made from Espadin, which is the more common of the agave varietals.
Yeah, it's a
and that's a good place.
agave.
Yeah, that's where you should start your beginning, because then you can build your appreciation over time, picking up the different flavor notes. Because in the beginning, and I'll throw this to the group again, is in the beginning it's the smoke that captivates you. It pulls you in. You're like, wow, I love this. And it's not smoke like Scotch. It's different. It's smoke like you're outside in the wilderness and there's a fire and it rained, and there's a different type of smoke compared to Scotch. But over time, I have found that the smokiness has disappeared. I don't taste it anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
And
Joey, there's an actual reason for that.
And what happens?
It's not just in your imagination.
No, I know, and what happens is when the smoke disappears, now all the other amazing flavors come to the forefront, and that pulls you further down the rabbit hole, as we say, to the other expressions of mezcals, whether they're ancestral or whatever, and different varietals and clay pots versus copper pots, and that's the journey that you go on. But explain it.
Jake, I'm going to ask you why. Why does that happen? Why do you?
I dealt with this, of course, being a partial owner of a mezcal distillery for 25, 26 years now. Every few years, we've looked to how to innovate and find one challenge and overcome it. When we're cooking our maguey underground using what we call brasas, which is on embers, we get something you never have to deal with in tequila. We get a ton of charring on our maguey.
Yeah, sides.
On the sides.
Yeah.
So when we're pulling all these maguey out of the ground, out of our oven, our conical oven, it's this sounds bad, but you don't go to a small family-run palenque and not see that primo that's like medio especial, or that grandfather that doesn't want to stop working, or that kid who lost a leg from a snake bite, or that person at the distillery who's part of the family is sitting over in the corner chopping off all of that char. Frank, please pick up that book one more time and find a picture in the middle of the fermentation vats. They're big, like 6-person hot tubs full of ferment. I realized very early, a lot of them.
Hold this up. Hang on.
That's correct.
Hang on, Jake. I'm going to show it up so everybody can see it.
That's correct. Now, if you can see in that picture, there's nothing black in our fermentation tanks. Yeah. They're all kind of just color café.
It's like a mostos of kind, you know?
So what happens is, I was witness to this.
Yeah.
I wanted to figure out a way to do mezcal different than this. When the first guys, and to this day, when they're from Mexico City, or they're from the United States, or they're from France, or they go to Oaxaca and they say, make a mezcal for me. See, I am an owner in this distillery, so we're very careful about a lot of these things. But they say, make a mezcal for me. And we're going to put, this is the price. And I don't, no se puede variar. This is the price we're going to pay. This is what you agreed to. But the price in Mexico fluctuates, right? For maguey. So these producers who are never even recognized on the labels, like Del Maguey was the famous one that did this. No recognition at all of the producer, just the town. Because if they have a problem with the producer, they can move to another producer in the same town. So by not recognizing the producer, but fixing the producer to a price, the producer saying, vete a la chingada. We're just going to throw all of this maguey to ferment with the char and everything. That created huge methanol levels, and it created wood alcohol levels, and it created superior alcohols, and it created this bodacious, smoky bouquet that you couldn't taste anything else. And so when we created the Mezcal Regulatory Council, it was a huge mission to control methanol, because around the world, you cannot go past 300 parts per million methanol. Yet these mezcals were 900, 986 parts per million of methanol. So how did they export? They would export as destilado de agave instead of mezcal. But they would show up here on our market as mezcal. But you would never taste mezcal like that in Oaxaca, because the people would cut off that char. So as everybody had to start conforming, I keep wanting to hold up a bottle. I can't hold up a bottle. If you see this picture, this little sello, it's called a holograma. That little holograma means that your mezcal is not in excess of methanol. And now, if you have this holograma, you will not have this crazy smoky flavor. You will not have these crushing hangovers from so much methanol. You will have more consistency in your mezcal. You can trust you're going to spend $50, $70, $80 a bottle, but you're not going to have that experience that we used to have in the 90s, where every third or fourth bottle just tasted horrible. And you'd say, what the hell happened? And then the producers would say, oh, well, it's an artisanal product, Maria. No. If you're careful with what you're producing, you're discarding, that's one thing. The only other thing, Joey, is you said that Espadín is kind of, and we used to all think this, by the way, that it's kind of like the starter, the training wheels, You know what I noticed 25 years into this? A lot of us go back to Espadín.
Yeah.
You get so excited about Tepestate and Tovesiche and Arroqueño and all, Barril. Yeah. And they're delicious. And that Rey Campero is so delicious.
It's ridiculous.
Such a good brand. But you come back all of a sudden, you go, holy shit, I love Espadín.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing, and it's amazing. It's amazing too, from producer to producer, village to village, how different Espadín can taste, and that's the other remarkable quality about just agave spirits in general.
You got it. You got it. So
Frankie, question number two, Frankie.
Question number two is, Lala, this is for you. Very quickly, Lala, tell us the difference between tequila and mezcal, please.
The difference is very simple. It's the agave. For tequila, I use the Tequila Noguera blue variety, and for mezcal, use 65 different types of agave. And the process is very important. In the tequila, the process is industrial. It's industrial. And in the mezcal, have 3 different categories: ancestral, artisan, and mezcal. Mezcal, industrial. But don't put the name industrial in the label.
That's awesome. Jeremy Smith, congratulations. That was a great question.
Yeah.
But more importantly is to know the difference between tequila and mezcal.
This is
Blue Weber.
mezcal with the color is red because of the worm in the nopales. The insect is not a worm, it's an insect.
Cochinilla?
The
Cochinilla, grana cochinilla. And this from Puebla is a papalometal. Papaloma is cupriata. It's cupriata.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So
Love
for
it.
those of you that don't know what we're talking about, the cochinilla was actually the dye that was used in Campari at the very beginning. So you guys are familiar with that beautiful red color that Jake is holding up.
I make this product. I make this product in Hidalgo, Lala.
Yes, I know.
I make this out by basically in a town called Santiago.
Es Salmiana, ¿no?
No, este es un licor amargo.
Licor de tuna.
Pero le ponemos cochinilla como colorante. This has no artificial color at all. Look at that beautiful red.
Now this bottle is from Nuevo León, because in Monterrey produce mezcals in la sierra, and this is agave cimarrón, from agave cimarrón.
Wow, that looks like Dan Aykroyd's Skullhead vodka bottle.
We won't talk about that. We won't talk about it. We'll leave it
alone.
No
way. No problem. That's a beautiful bottle. No problem.
Yeah.
I was checking for the pomegranate liqueur. I'm sorry. I kill it. That's it.
Yeah.
The pomegranate liqueur is delicious.
Well, listen, I got Frankie Caraballo. Congratulations. You won a travel humidor. He asked, can I make a paloma with mezcal rather than tequila? And I said, yes. All day, every day, all the time. We call it a paloma oaxaqueña, meaning a Oaxacan paloma. Enjoy. So congratulations, Frankie Caraballo.
Call it a huilote.
A huilote.
Listen, we're going to have to...
For the guy that asked about the paloma, old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Mezcal old-fashioned is delicious.
Well, it's called the Oaxaca Old Fashioned because we use the agave syrup.
Let me show you this bottle of mezcal. It's black mezcal. Black. The liquid is black.
Whoa! How do they make it black?
With another insect, cochinilla. No, the grana cochinilla is another cochinilla. It's a black insect. You know.
Are you talking about black mezcal?
Wow! How do I get into your?
Wow, we're going down the rabbit hole.
How do I get into your club? How do I get into your club?
So far behind. I've only got like 4 bottles on me.
Let's go.
Oh my God!
She just keeps going and going.
How awesome!
This is awesome.
All right, so I've got one more question.
Tell us about that one. What's that one, Lala? Real quick. What's that?
All right.
This is Quiéreme mucho. Love me so much.
Yes.
Quiéreme mucho. It's from Oaxaca, and this is
Iguana.
Alma Mezcalera of Eric of Alma Mezcalera. I love of Iguana. It's from Puebla, no?
Who's that? Eric Rodriguez?
Yes.
Yes, I know. It's my friend. It's my brother.
He's a good guy.
I'm gonna give a shout out to somebody you guys might know, Baude Balam. Over at Tommy's. With the most famous of all, Julio Bermejo.
Oh yeah, the Mayaland.
With this one, Cocuy.
Yeah, Cocuy from Venezuela.
Yeah.
He always brings that out.
Yeah,
he's got to come out on every episode.
He's got to push.
Carlos is el embajador de Cocuy.
Carlos is from.
I'm sorry.
It's from Pecoyo. It's
Pecaya.
Yes, I know at the leader of the Cucuyeros.
You have 2 areas, Pecaya or Lara.
Or Pecoyo.
Pecoya.
Carlos, ¿quieres que te pico?
All right, listen, I've got one more question. It's for Jake. Jake, are you ready?
I don't know. I can't keep up with Lala. She blew me out of the water there.
El borrego es fantástico.
Y la cola de borrego le gana.
Ya. Ay, cállate.
ya me dijiste que sí.
Listen,
yes, Frankie, what's the next question?
From a mixology standpoint.
I know what I'm doing next time I go to Mexico City. I'm eating Lala.
Jacob, From Alma Mezcalera with a cola de borrego.
Eso.
Green.
Can you, Frankie, can you give me Lala's address? I'm going to send her a care package of mezcal and things.
For sure. Listen, we're going to all meet in Mexico City. We're going to go to Limantur.
Limantur is amazing. Good concept.
Oh, we just did on Monday, we did a training there. Limantur.
The best.
Come
the best.
on.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
Sedenic did it last month, a couple nights ago.
I'm waiting for Joey's visa to go through. So
I'm clear. I'm ready. I'm good.
Jacob, let me ask you a question for Don Amado. What would you recommend as something that's widely available for mixology? Which one of the brands from Don Amado?
Yeah.
You know, for me, I don't like to mix. We call wild species like the barril or tempestate. We call those all silvestres, maguey silvestre. Because those take so long to grow, I just can't stand to see them used in cocktails. What I feel is appropriate for cocktails is a cultivatable species of maguey that we can be very ecological. We can make sure that we're not risking the environment. You know, a lot of these agave or these maguey are very rare. We don't want to use that for cocktails. So I really love espadín. And to make the flavor push through a cocktail, we want to have our grado alcohólico a little bit stronger. So we make ours at 47%. That's 94 proof.
Jabalí.
Well, see, I would never use jabalí in a cocktail.
Never.
Never. It takes 22 years to grow.
Never use the wild agaves for a
So for cocktails, you want espadín.
Tequila or tobalá, maybe.
No, ¿cómo crees?
Or
Tobalá cuesta un montón de años. I think espadín, and you do an 8-year espadín. You want your brick sugars, you want your sugars to be up there like 25, 26%.
Or cenizo from Durango, Jacob.
Menos, los durangueses. Déjalos hacer lo que hacen. No fabrican ahí, no fabrican mezcal. Fabrican un destilado de...
Or satol. Or satol in a cocktail.
Right. So what you can do better. Lala and me already agreed. Lala, then she went to Durango. I don't know, but it's espadín at a good high proof for cocktails.
Yes. I am
Carlos. Agree. What do you say, Carlos? Get a word in because this is
okay. This is me. You do whatever you want with your mezcal, but personally, I have a few of them that I will go the way as they are, okay? If you want to make a cocktail, agree, go espadín. You can go with 2 or 3 different combos on the market that there are combinations of 2 different
los ensambles.
Yeah,
los
ensambles. But at the end of the day, I totally agree with the new ensemble that you have, Jacobo, the tripon, the barril. Hey, may I say something in French?
Sure.
Karwinskis.
That shit is a shit. That shit is seriously.
What do you say in French? Merde.
Aroqueños, it's Americanos, that they are amazing. You know, we can be all night long talking about the ones that you are going to be sipping by yourself. Totally agree, Jabalí by yourself. That's it. Okay?
That's it.
All right. So listen, I'm going to listen, I need to cut out now, right? But I do want to say thank you.
Wait, it's over? We're not done yet? We're not done?
No, we're not done, but we're done broadcasting. So I want to say thank you to Lala Noguera from...
Thank you very much, Frank.
Lala!
Don't sign off. Don't go anywhere. Jacob, don't sign off anywhere. I just want to say thank you. My man, Carlitos, muchas gracias.
Carlitos.
My man, Joey, I want to say a big toast to Mexico
Thank
Chinga
you.
tu maga.
There we go.
You know,
Chinga tu maga, dijo.
so you know, so a big salute, you know, to all of us. You know, we're bringing us together from Miami to San Francisco, to Chicago, to
Enjoy.
Mexico City.
You're
And I'm
building
thankful
community,
for that.
Frank. You're making new friends.
I am, and I want
Yeah.
to thank all of you for enjoying mezcal and enjoying our San Andres cigars, and for tuning in. Listen, I made a cocktail tonight for Cigar Dojo at 9 o'clock. Go on their Facebook. I made a cocktail called the Brujito, which is a flor de caña daiquiri, and they're going to be pairing it tonight. So tune in, Flor de Caña from Nicaragua, our home country. Tune in, Cigar Dojo, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you got some time to get something to eat, get something to drink. Oh, look, she's got Blackened. She's got Blackened. My God, Metallica in the house, baby. Lo mejor, lo mejor. So I thank my special guests and all of you for tuning in. Congratulations to all the winners. Big thanks to Jack, our producer, because he's amazing, and everybody. Make sure you follow us. Let's throw that follow slide. Follow us at Drew Estate Cigar, Facebook and Instagram. Follow me, Frankie Drinks, on Instagram, Facebook as well. Tune in every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, I've got a esoteric episode. If you ever want to learn how to pair cigars with sake, tune in next week. It's going to be super special. With that, I thank you. Salute to everybody. Enjoy Mexican independence, 210 years of independence. Nicaragua, we love you. 199 years. Next year's our bicentennial. So salute. And with that, we're out. All right. Peace.